Life is a dance, not a race. It isn't a puzzle to be solved or a test to be passed. Yet so many of us grip tightly to the illusion that we must always be striving, pushing, and achieving, as if there's some grand scoreboard tallying our worth. This seriousness, this constant need to grasp and control, blinds us to the beauty of simply being. Consider the waves of the ocean. They rise and fall, crash and recede, never holding on to their form or resisting their nature. A wave doesn't fret about being higher or stronger than another. It simply moves with the rhythm of the sea. We too are part of this ebb and flow, but somewhere along the way we decided we must master the tide, build walls against its currents, and resist its endless motion. In doing so, we miss the joy of floating, of letting ourselves be carried by life rather than dragged by our own expectations. Look around, and you'll see how the natural world plays. Birds don't strive to sing a perfect note, yet their melodies fill the air with effortless beauty. Trees don't rush to grow, they simply stretch toward the light, year after year without worry or complaint. And children, before they learn the weight of seriousness, play with boundless imagination. They don't ask, "Am I doing it right?" They simply do. But we've been taught to take life seriously. We measure success with numbers and status, chasing goals that once reached often feel hollow. In our pursuit of purpose, we overlook that life itself is the purpose. The moments of laughter, the sweetness of a shared glance, the warmth of the sun on your face, these are life, and none of them require you to prove your worth. There's no destination we must hurry toward, no ultimate achievement waiting at the end of the road. Life is not a task to complete, but an experience to savor. And when we stop clutching at it, when we release the need to control and perfect, we discover the profound freedom of simply existing. Relax, laugh, dance. Allow yourself to stumble, to fall, to be utterly imperfect. In doing so, you'll find that life doesn't need your seriousness, it only asks for your presence. Life is a paradox that we often fail to see. We rush through it, gripping tightly to our plans and ambitions, convinced that our purpose lies in achieving something grand, something definitive. Yet in this relentless pursuit of meaning, we overlook the simple truth: life is not a problem to be solved or a burden to be carried. It is a mystery to be danced with, a game to be played. Consider the way we approach time. We are always hurrying, racing against it as though it's a predator at our heels. We set schedules, deadlines, and milestones, believing that only by adhering to them will we find satisfaction. But in doing so, we reduce time to something linear, something rigid, when in reality it is fluid and expansive. The present moment is all that truly exists, yet we rarely live in it. Instead, we are consumed by the past and the future, regretting, reminiscing, planning, and worrying. Life becomes a blur, a series of tasks to check off rather than an experience to embrace. Think about how children move through the world. They don't hurry to grow up, nor do they obsess over the right way to play. They are fully immersed in whatever they're doing, unburdened by the concept of time or the weight of seriousness. A child can spend hours lost in the simple joy of stacking blocks or chasing butterflies. They are not concerned with whether their play has a purpose. It just is. And it's beautiful. Somewhere along the way, we lose this ability to be present, to play for the sake of playing. We trade it for seriousness, for responsibility, for the illusion of control. But what is control, really? We like to think we have it, that we can shape life to our will, bend it to fit our desires. Yet life has a way of reminding us that it is unpredictable, untamable. It flows like a river, carving its own path regardless of our plans. The more we try to dam it, the more it pushes back. And when the dam inevitably breaks, we feel lost, overwhelmed, as though life has betrayed us. But life is not the betrayer our expectations are. There's a peculiar irony in how we chase happiness. We set conditions for it, thinking, I'll be happy when ... when I get the promotion, when I find the right partner, when I achieve this or that goal. But happiness is not something to be earned or attained. It is not out there waiting for us at the end of some great struggle. It is here, now, in the small, quiet moments we often overlook. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of a cup of tea, the sound of rain against the window, these are the threads that weave joy into our lives. And yet, in our seriousness, we miss them. We are conditioned to believe that seriousness equates to importance. If something is worth doing, we must approach it with gravity and diligence. But consider the greatest works of art, the most profound inventions, the moments of true brilliance. They often come not from seriousness, but from playfulness, from a willingness to experiment, to fail, to laugh at the absurdity of it all. The universe itself is playful. Look at the patterns in nature, the way the stars twinkle, the way a cat pounces on a shadow. There is no rigidity here, no solemnity, only a joyful dance. This is not to say that life has no challenges, no moments of pain or difficulty. But even these can be approached with lightness. To take life seriously is to see its hardships as insurmountable, its obstacles as personal affronts. But to approach life with playfulness is to see these moments as part of the game, as opportunities to grow and learn. When we stop resisting the flow of life, when we stop demanding that it conform to our expectations, we discover a profound freedom. We realize that we are not separate from life, we are life. Imagine you are at a great party. There is music playing, people dancing, laughter echoing through the room. You have two choices. You can stand in the corner, analyzing the rhythm, worrying about whether you know the right steps, feeling self-conscious and out of place. Or you can join the dance, letting the music move through you, laughing when you stumble, enjoying the sheer joy of movement. Life is that party, and you are invited to dance. The question is, will you? We often get caught up in the idea of purpose, as though our lives must have some grand meaning or ultimate destination. But what if the purpose of life is simply to live it? To wake up each day and experience whatever comes, to laugh, to cry, to love, to feel the sun on your face and the earth beneath your feet. What if the meaning of life is not something we find, but something we create through the way we live? The trouble with taking life too seriously is that it blinds us to its beauty. We become so focused on the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey. We see life as a series of problems to solve rather than a series of moments to savor. But the truth is, the destination is the same for all of us. No matter how hard we strive, no matter how seriously we take it, life will one day come to an end. And when it does, what will matter most is not what we achieved, but how we lived. Did we love? Did we laugh? Did we dance? Life is not a straight line, it is a spiral, a series of cycles and rhythms. It is a symphony with moments of crescendo and quiet, joy and sorrow. To take it too seriously is to miss the music, to stand on the sidelines while the orchestra plays. But to embrace its playfulness, its unpredictability, is to join the dance, to become part of the melody. Let go of the need to control, to perfect, to achieve. Let go of the belief that you must always be striving, always doing. Instead, be. Be like the waves of the ocean, rising and falling, never resisting, always moving. Be like the birds in the sky, flying not to reach a destination, but simply for the joy of flight. Be like a child, playing not because there is a goal to reach, but because play is its own reward. Life is a gift, a fleeting moment in the vast expanse of time. To take it too seriously is to squander that gift, to miss the wonder and magic that surround us. So laugh when you fall. Dance when the music plays. Embrace the chaos, the unpredictability, the absurdity of it all. For in doing so, you will find not only joy but freedom, the freedom to live fully, deeply, and without regret. Life often feels like a stage play, where we're all actors striving to play our parts perfectly. Yet somewhere deep down, there's a quiet voice whispering that the script isn't as rigid as we think. We take life so seriously, our roles, our ambitions, our successes, and our failures, as though the entire universe hinges on our ability to get everything just right. But perhaps life isn't a matter of correctness or achievement at all. Maybe it's more like a dance, where the goal isn't to reach the end, but to enjoy each step. Look at the way people obsess over outcomes. We carry an internal checklist of things to do, places to be, and milestones to achieve. We measure our worth by these external markers, thinking, I'll be happy when what? When the to-do list is complete. When the house is bigger, the bank account fuller, the accolades more plentiful. Yet each time we reach one of these markers, the satisfaction is fleeting. No sooner do we check one box than another appears. The cycle is endless, and the more seriously we take it, the more trapped we become. Think of the games children play. They don't play with the intent of winning something permanent or achieving a grand purpose. They play because it's fun, because it feels good to laugh, to explore, to make believe. If you've ever watched a child run through a field or jump into a pile of leaves, you'll notice they don't question the value of their actions. They're not calculating how their play fits into the grand scheme of life. They simply are. And in their being, there's a profound wisdom, a reminder that life's magic isn't found in seriousness, but in spontaneity. When we lose this sense of play, we trade it for the heavy burdens of self-imposed importance. We start to believe that our actions are the center of the universe. We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, acting as if every decision, every choice, every moment of our lives is of monumental consequence. But life itself doesn't take us so seriously. The universe hums along whether we're stressing or not, moving with a rhythm and flow that doesn't pause for our anxieties. Take the example of nature. The trees don't rush to grow. They don't stress over whether their branches are perfectly aligned or their leaves symmetrical. They simply stretch toward the sun, bending and swaying with the wind. Rivers don't agonize over their paths. They flow wherever the landscape leads them, carving new routes when obstacles appear. Life in its purest form doesn't fret or struggle against itself. It adapts, flows, and thrives. Why then do we insist on fighting the current, turning life into a battle rather than a journey? We're so consumed by our desire to control everything. We plan, strategize, and calculate, believing that if we can just get it all right, we'll finally find peace. But the irony is that control is an illusion. The more we try to hold on tightly, the more life slips through our fingers. Have you ever tried to grasp water in your hands? The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. But if you relax, letting it rest gently in your palm, it stays. Life is much the same. There's a tendency to think that seriousness equals responsibility, that to be taken seriously by others, we must first take ourselves seriously. But consider this: some of the most profound discoveries, the most beautiful art, and the most transformative ideas have emerged not from seriousness, but from curiosity and play. Think of a painter experimenting with colors or a scientist marveling at an unexpected result. They are not shackled by the need to get it right. They are guided by wonder, by the joy of exploration. Even the universe, vast and incomprehensible as it is, has a playful nature. The stars scatter themselves across the sky in no particular order, their patterns open to interpretation. The waves of the ocean crash and recede, never following the exact same rhythm. There's no rigidity, no strict adherence to rules, only a magnificent, chaotic harmony. And within this cosmic dance, we are participants, not overseers. We're not here to direct the orchestra, but to play along, to lose ourselves in the melody. Our seriousness often stems from fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of impermanence. But what would happen if we let go of that fear? What if we stopped trying to protect ourselves from life and instead embraced its unpredictability? Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a natural part of the process. It's through falling that we learn to stand, through mistakes that we grow. To fear failure is to fear growth, to resist the very essence of life. Think about laughter. It's one of the most spontaneous, uncontrollable acts we experience. We don't plan to laugh, it simply happens. And in those moments of genuine laughter, we're completely present. We're not worrying about the future or dwelling on the past. We're just there in the moment, feeling alive. Laughter reminds us that life doesn't always have to be so heavy, that even in its absurdity, there is joy to be found. We often believe that we must have everything figured out, that we must have a clear purpose and a defined path. But life isn't a straight line, it's a winding road, full of twists and turns, detours and surprises. The idea that we must know where we're going at all times is a trap. It's in not knowing, in wandering, that we discover the most beautiful things. The traveler who sets out without a map often finds treasures the planner would never stumble upon. Imagine life as a vast, infinite ocean. You can try to chart every wave to predict every current, or you can simply set sail, letting the wind guide you. The ocean doesn't demand that you master it, it invites you to explore it. To take life too seriously is to miss the adventure, to spend your days staring at the horizon instead of feeling the spray of salt water on your skin. Why do we hesitate to let go? Why do we cling so tightly to our plans and expectations? Perhaps it's because we've been taught that letting go means giving up, that playfulness is frivolous, that joy must be earned. But this is a misunderstanding. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning responsibility, it means approaching life with lightness, with the understanding that we are not in control of everything, and that's okay. The greatest irony of all is that the more we relax, the more life seems to flow effortlessly. When we stop taking ourselves so seriously, we open ourselves to possibilities we never could have imagined. We become like the dancer who isn't worried about the steps, but is simply moving to the music. We find that life, when not forced, has a rhythm all its own. The world doesn't need more seriousness, it needs more play. It needs people who are willing to laugh at their mistakes, to embrace uncertainty, to dance even when the music is faint. It needs people who understand that life isn't about perfection, but about presence. When we stop trying to fix life, to control it, we begin to see its beauty, the way the light filters through the trees, the sound of wind rustling the leaves, the simple act of breathing. Life is a fleeting moment, a brief flicker in the vastness of time. To take it too seriously is to miss the point entirely. So let go, laugh, dance, play. Allow yourself to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, to be fully alive. For in doing so, you will discover the true essence of life not as a burden to bear, but as a gift to cherish. Life is a curious paradox. We are here for such a short time, yet we live as though we have all the time in the world. We chase goals as though they are the key to our salvation, build monuments to our ambitions, and treat every decision as though the entire universe rests on its outcome. But here's the catch: none of this seriousness guarantees happiness. None of it guarantees peace. And in the end, all it does is weigh us down, robbing us of the very freedom and joy we were chasing in the first place. Why do we live this way? Perhaps because we've been conditioned to believe that life is a problem to solve, a mission to accomplish, or a competition to win. From a young age, we are taught to work hard, to strive for success, to climb higher, and to achieve more. We are told that only through seriousness and effort can we prove our worth. But what if this entire premise is flawed? What if life isn't a riddle to be solved, but a psalm to be sung? What if our purpose isn't to accomplish, but simply to experience? Think of a game. A game isn't played to reach the end as quickly as possible. The point isn't to finish it, the point is to play it. The joy is in the movements, the strategies, the surprises along the way. Life, in its essence, is no different. It is not something to master or conquer, but something to participate in, something to flow with. Yet we treat it as if it's a staircase, each step a solemn climb towards some imaginary summit. And in doing so, we miss the beauty of the journey itself. Look at nature. It is the greatest teacher of this truth. The wind doesn't rush to its destination, it meanders, swirling and dancing through the trees. Rivers don't agonize over their paths, they flow naturally, finding their way around obstacles without resistance. The clouds drift aimlessly across the sky, unburdened by the need for direction. There is a quiet, effortless wisdom in nature's rhythm, a reminder that life is not meant to be forced. We, however, have forgotten this wisdom. We cling to our plans and goals, terrified of failure, terrified of being seen as unproductive or unworthy. We wrap ourselves in seriousness, as though it is a shield, as though it will protect us from life's uncertainties. But life doesn't operate on our terms. It is unpredictable, ever-changing, and far beyond our control. The more we resist this truth, the more we suffer. The more we try to control life, the more it slips through our grasp. Consider time. We treat it as though it's our greatest enemy, something to be managed, scheduled, and defeated. But time doesn't work that way. It cannot be tamed or paused. It flows ceaselessly, carrying us along with it. We spend so much energy worrying about the past and planning for the future that we overlook the only time that truly exists, the present. The now, this very moment. And in this moment, there is no need for seriousness. There is only life, unfolding in its raw and simple beauty. What would happen if we stopped taking life so seriously? What would happen if we let go of our rigid expectations, our need for control, and our fear of failure? Would the world crumble? Would the sky fall? Or would we discover something extraordinary, that life doesn't require our seriousness, that it moves and flows perfectly well without our constant interference, that joy, peace, and meaning arise not from striving but from surrender? To let go doesn't mean to give up. It doesn't mean abandoning our responsibilities or ignoring the challenges we face. It means approaching life with lightness, with an open heart and a sense of curiosity. It means laughing when we stumble, finding beauty in imperfection, and allowing ourselves to play. It means understanding that life's value is not measured by our accomplishments, but by the depth of our experiences. Imagine a traveler who embarks on a journey. If this traveler spends the entire trip staring at the map, worrying about the destination, they miss everything along the way: the sights, the sounds, the unexpected encounters. But if they put the map aside and trust the path, they discover wonders they never could have planned for. Life is much the same. The more we focus on where we're going, the more we miss the beauty of where we are. This isn't to say that goals or aspirations are unimportant. They can provide direction and motivation, much like a compass guides a traveler. But the compass is not the journey. It's a tool, not the destination. When we mistake our goals for the purpose of life, we lose sight of what truly matters: the moments in between, the laughter, the connections, the simple joys that make life worth living. We often fear letting go because we equate it with losing control. But here's the secret: we were never in control to begin with. Life is a vast, intricate web of forces far beyond our comprehension. To think we can control it is like trying to hold back the tide with our hands. It's an act of futility, born out of fear. When we accept this truth, when we release our grip and let life flow, we find a profound sense of freedom. We realize that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Laughter is a perfect example of this freedom. Have you ever noticed how laughter often comes at the most unexpected times? It bubbles up, spontaneous and uncontrollable, breaking through even the most serious moments. Laughter reminds us that life isn't so heavy, that even in its absurdity, there is lightness to be found. It connects us to our shared humanity, to the simple, playful essence of being alive. Think, too, of creativity. The greatest works of art, the most brilliant inventions, and the most transformative ideas often arise not from rigid seriousness, but from a sense of play. A painter experiments with colors, a musician improvises a melody, a writer follows the thread of an idea without knowing where it will lead. Creativity flourishes when we stop trying to control it and instead allow it to flow through us. Even the universe, vast and incomprehensible as it is, seems to have a playful spirit. The stars scatter themselves across the sky in patterns open to interpretation. The waves of the ocean crash and recede, each one unique and unrepeatable. There is no rigidity here, no strict adherence to rules. there is only movement, rhythm, and flow. Life itself is a dance, and we are invited to join in not as choreographers, but as participants. So why do we resist? Why do we cling so tightly to our seriousness, our need for control, our fear of the unknown? Perhaps it's because we've been taught to see life as a struggle, a battle to be won. But what if it isn't? What if life is more like a playground, a place to explore, to laugh, to connect? What if the point isn't to win, but to play? When we let go of our seriousness, we open ourselves to life's infinite possibilities. We become like the dancer who isn't worried about the steps, but is simply moving to the music. We find that life, when not forced, has a rhythm all its own. And in that rhythm there is freedom. Life is fleeting, a brief flicker in the vast expanse of time. To take it too seriously is to miss its essence, to overlook the beauty and wonder that surround us. So let us laugh when we stumble, dance when the music plays, and embrace the chaos and unpredictability of it all. For in doing so, we discover the true gift of life not as a burden to bear, but as a joy to experience. Life is a grand and mysterious dance, a spectacle in which we all partake whether we realize it or not. And yet, so many of us march through it as if burdened by invisible chains, taking each step with the weight of the world on our shoulders. We treat life with such seriousness, as though it were a puzzle to solve, a duty to fulfill, or a problem to conquer. But what if life isn't any of those things? What if, instead, it's a playground, a symphony, a dream? What if the essence of life lies not in the struggle, but in the freedom to flow? We seem so intent on controlling every aspect of our existence. We wake up with plans, we measure our worth by productivity, and we obsess over outcomes. Success becomes the carrot on a stick, forever out of reach. And when we fail, because inevitably we do fail, it feels like the ground beneath us crumbles. But does it? Or is it simply that we've become so attached to our imagined ideals that we've forgotten the larger picture?